Emma Sanders was a loving mother of two, glowing with the joy of pregnancy and the warmth of a perfect online life. But behind the smiles and Instagram likes lurked a deadly obsession that would shatter her world forever. Emma Sanders lived in a peaceful suburban neighborhood where life seemed calm and ordinary. At 28 years old, she was a devoted mother to two lively children, aged 4 and 6, and was 7 months pregnant with her third child. Her days were filled with the simple joys of motherhood, preparing meals, playing with her kids in the backyard, and getting ready for the arrival of the new baby. Yet behind the walls of her cozy home, Emma carried a dream that went beyond her daily routine. She wanted to connect with the world, to share her story, and find support from others on a similar journey. For that, she turned to Instagram. Emma's Instagram account was a window into her life. Every day, she posted pictures filled with warmth, her smiling children, chasing butterflies, snapshots of her growing baby bump, and candid moments with her husband during family outings. The photos were bright, filled with sunlight and laughter, and they quickly gathered a small but devoted group of followers. For Emma, Instagram was a way to celebrate the beauty of everyday life and create a little community where she felt seen and appreciated. At first, the comments were positive and encouraging. Followers would praise her parenting skills, admire her courage as a pregnant mother, and share their own experiences. Emma cherished these connections. In a world that often felt isolating, especially for someone juggling pregnancy and 2 young children, this digital support was a lifeline. She posted regularly, hoping to inspire others and receive encouragement in return. But as her Instagram presence grew, so did the shadows lurking beneath the surface. Among the friendly comments, there were strange messages, likes that came unusually fast, and vague remarks that didn't quite make sense. "Not as perfect as you think," one message read. "Everyone sees the truth," said another. These comments didn't come from the people she knew or from her usual followers. Instead, they appeared from an anonymous account that seemed to watch her every move. Emma noticed the messages but tried to brush them off. She assumed it was just harmless jealousy or a prank from someone who didn't understand the joy she found in sharing her life. She was careful not to let the negativity affect her, but the messages became more frequent, more direct. The anonymous account would like every photo within seconds, as if someone was constantly monitoring her Instagram. The comments grew darker and more unsettling. At home, Emma began to feel a creeping unease. What had once been a source of happiness was now casting a shadow over her daily life. She found herself checking her phone obsessively, worried about the strange follower who seemed so obsessed with her. Sometimes she would catch herself glancing out the window, feeling as if she was being watched. Her husband noticed the change in her mood, but didn't fully understand what was happening. The children remained blissfully unaware, still playing happily as if nothing had changed. Emma decided to tighten her privacy settings, hoping to block the anonymous account. For a moment, it seemed to work. The mysterious user disappeared and the comments stopped. But the relief was short-lived. The account resurfaced under a new name, continuing the pattern of stalking and strange messages. Despite the growing fear, Emma refused to stop sharing her life. She wanted to hold on to the connection Instagram gave her, the glimpse of happiness in a world that sometimes felt overwhelming. But beneath her bright photos and radiant smile, a storm was building. A storm that no one could have predicted would end in tragedy. Emma's story was only beginning, but the perfect life she showed the world was about to be shattered by a dark obsession lurking just behind the screen. The anonymous account that had started as a strange curiosity quickly became a source of fear for Emma. It wasn't just the comments anymore. It was the constant presence. Every time Emma posted a photo, the account was there within seconds, liking the picture and leaving a message that sent chills down her spine. The words were vague but threatening. "Not everything is what it seems. I know your secrets," and "perfection hides lies." At first, Emma tried to ignore these messages, telling herself it was just an online troll with too much time. But as the days passed, the account's activity intensified. Emma began noticing more signs that someone was watching her beyond Instagram. She found strange footprints near her backyard gate. The lock on her front door seemed disturbed, and, on one occasion, a neighbor told her they saw a figure lurking near her house late at night. Emma's growing anxiety affected her sleep and concentration. She became jumpy, always glancing over her shoulder, even inside her own home. Despite her fear, Emma did not tell many people. She wanted to protect her family from worry, especially her husband and children. But the stress weighed heavily on her. Her husband noticed her growing unease and the sudden change in her behavior. The confident, joyful woman who used to post daily was now hesitant and withdrawn. The bright photos became less frequent, replaced by short captions that hinted at her struggle but didn't reveal the full truth. The anonymous account vanished for a few days, giving Emma a brief sense of relief. She hoped the nightmare was over, and she even started posting again with cautious optimism. But just as she began to breathe easier, the account reappeared with a new username. This time, the messages were more aggressive and personalized. The account seemed to know details about her family and her pregnancy that Emma had never shared publicly. The messages stopped feeling like random online harassment and started to feel like a direct threat. One chilling message contained a blurry photo of her front door with the caption, "I'm closer than you think." Emma's heart raced when she saw it. She realized this wasn't just a game. Someone was watching her every move, invading her privacy, and feeding her fear. She reported the account to Instagram, hoping the platform would take action, but the account disappeared only temporarily before re-emerging again under a different name, continuing the harassment. Emma's anxiety began to affect her family life in ways she hadn't anticipated. Her children noticed her stress and sometimes cried when she suddenly became quiet or tearful. Emma's husband tried to comfort her, but he felt helpless, unsure how to protect her from a threat he couldn't see or understand. The once joyful household was now clouded by fear and uncertainty. At the same time, Emma grew more determined not to let the harassment win. She researched online about stalking and harassment and took steps to secure her home. She installed security cameras and changed locks, hoping to catch any intruder or at least feel safer. Yet the sense of being watched never left her. Emma's Instagram, which had once been a source of happiness and connection, had become a dangerous place. The line between the online world and real life blurred, and the shadow of the anonymous follower loomed larger every day. The tension was building, but no one could have guessed how far this obsession would go. As Emma's due date approached, so did the darkness threatening to destroy the life she had worked so hard to build. What started as a few strange comments on social media was turning into something deadly, and Emma was caught in the middle, unsure who to trust and how to escape the growing nightmare. The night Emma disappeared started like any other, but it quickly turned into a nightmare no one could have imagined. After dinner, Emma told her husband she wanted to take a short walk to clear her mind. The tension from the stalking and strange messages had been weighing heavily on her, and she hoped a quiet stroll through the neighborhood would calm her nerves. She kissed her husband and children goodbye, promising to be back soon. But Emma never returned. When the minutes stretched into hours, her husband grew worried. He tried calling her several times, but there was no answer. The neighborhood was unusually quiet that night, with only the occasional sound of a car passing by. He stepped outside, looking down the street and calling her name, but there was no sign of her. The unease turned into panic, and he immediately contacted the police to report her missing. The search began quickly. Officers combed the neighborhood, checking every street and park nearby. Volunteers from the community joined in, shining flashlights and calling out Emma's name. As dawn broke, the search moved toward the nearby forest, a place Emma often walked during the day but rarely at night. Then, in a small clearing covered with fallen leaves, a disturbing discovery was made. Emma's body lay hidden beneath the forest floor's thick carpet. She had been attacked violently. The baby she was carrying did not survive. The scene was heartbreaking. A young mother taken in the prime of her life, her family shattered in an instant. The news spread fast through the town. Shock, grief, and confusion rippled through the community. Emma had seemed so full of life, so connected to those around her. No one could understand who would want to harm her or why. The police launched a full investigation. At first, the motive was unclear. There were no signs of robbery or a struggle at her home. Friends and neighbors spoke about Emma's kindness and dedication to her family. Her husband was devastated but cooperated fully with the authorities. Then, evidence began to emerge that pointed to a more sinister explanation. The strange messages on Emma's Instagram account, the stalking, and the threatening comments were not random acts of cruelty. They were connected to her murder. The police traced the anonymous account that had terrorized Emma for months. The account belonged to Lisa, a woman from Emma's past. Lisa had once been a close friend, but had drifted away over the years. According to investigators, Lisa had become obsessed with Emma's life, consumed by jealousy and bitterness over Emma's happy family and growing online following. She had created a fake Instagram profile to watch Emma constantly, leaving threatening messages and stalking her both online and in real life. More chilling details surfaced during the investigation. Lisa's own Instagram was filled with images, portraying a glamorous, perfect life, a stark contrast to the loneliness and anger she carried inside. The obsession with Emma had taken over her mind, twisting her into someone dangerous. The police also uncovered a private journal that Emma had kept, where she wrote about the harassment and her fears for her safety. The journal revealed the depth of Emma's struggle, her hope for help, and her determination to protect her family. As the case unfolded, the community faced a harsh reality. What began as social media jealousy had turned deadly. Emma's death was a brutal reminder that online threats can spill into real life with devastating consequences. Her family, friends, and neighbors were left to mourn a vibrant young mother whose life was stolen far too soon. But even in grief, Emma's story sparked a conversation about the hidden dangers behind the screens, the power of obsession, and the urgent need to take online harassment seriously. The night Emma disappeared marked a tragic turning point, a moment when innocence met cruelty and the world lost someone it should never have lost. The investigation into Emma's murder took a sharp turn when police identified Lisa as the person behind the anonymous Instagram account. Lisa was no stranger to Emma. They had once been close, friends during their teenage years, but over time, Their friendship had faded, replaced by a dangerous obsession. Lisa's jealousy of Emma's happy family and online presence had grown into a dark fixation, driving her to stalking and, ultimately, murder. When detectives brought Lisa in for questioning, they uncovered a complex web of lies and deceit. Lisa's own social media painted a picture very different from reality. Her Instagram was filled with carefully curated images showing a glamorous lifestyle, designer clothes, exotic vacations, and smiling faces. But this was all a facade. Behind the scenes, Lisa lived alone and struggled with deep feelings of resentment and failure. The police discovered that Lisa had been following Emma's every move for months. She had used multiple fake accounts to monitor Emma's Instagram activity, gathering information about her family, routines, and even the layout of her home. Lisa's obsession went far beyond social media. She had stalked Emma in person, visiting places Emma frequented and watching her from a distance. In Lisa's possession, the police found disturbing evidence: photos taken secretly of Emma's house, notes tracking her daily schedule, and the phone used to send threatening messages and images. It became clear that Lisa had planned her actions carefully, fueled by a dangerous mix of jealousy and anger. One of the most chilling discoveries was Emma's private journal. Found hidden in her bedroom, it revealed Emma's fears and suspicions. Long before her death, she wrote about the disturbing messages, the feeling of being watched, and her growing sense of danger. Emma had hoped the police would act, but the anonymous nature of the harassment made it difficult to catch the perpetrator sooner. The investigation painted a heartbreaking picture of two women whose lives had once intersected but ended in tragedy because of obsession and envy. Lisa's mental state became a key focus during the trial. Experts testified about her unhealthy fixation on Emma, describing it as a dangerous combination of stalking and delusional jealousy. Lisa's obsession had destroyed any sense of reality, pushing her to commit a terrible crime. As the trial unfolded, the community watched closely. Many struggled to understand how something so dark could hide behind the bright images of social media. The case exposed the dangers of online stalking and harassment, especially when fueled by deep personal grievances. Lisa was ultimately convicted of Emma's murder and sentenced to a lengthy prison term. The courtroom was filled with emotion as Emma's family listened to the verdict, knowing it could never bring their loved one back. But the truth being revealed brought some measure of justice and closure. In the aftermath, Emma's story became a powerful warning about the risks of social media obsession. It highlighted the need for stronger protections for victims of online harassment and the importance of recognizing stalking behaviors early. Emma's family channeled their grief into action. They started a foundation aimed at helping victims of stalking and online abuse, hoping to prevent others from suffering the same fate. Their mission was clear: to raise awareness about the hidden dangers behind the screens and to honor Emma's memory by protecting others. What began as a story of friendship turned into a tragic lesson about jealousy, obsession, and the deadly consequences they can bring when left unchecked. The shadow cast by social media was darker than anyone had imagined, and Emma's life and death would not be forgotten. After Lisa's arrest and conviction, the town struggled to come to terms with the tragedy that had shattered a family and changed the community forever. Emma's death was more than a shocking crime. It was a painful reminder of how dangerous obsession and online harassment could become when left unchecked. The trial had brought the facts into the light, but healing was only beginning for those left behind. Emma's husband faced an unimaginable loss. The woman he loved, the mother of his children, and their unborn baby were gone. The children, too young to fully understand the depth of the tragedy, felt the absence in quiet ways. Missing hug, an empty chair at the dinner table, the silence where laughter once lived. Family and friends stepped in to support them, but the pain was deep and raw. Despite the heartbreak, Emma's family found strength in turning their grief into purpose. They established the Emma Sanders Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to supporting victims of stalking, harassment, and online abuse. The foundation aimed to provide resources for those suffering in silence, raise public awareness about the dangers of digital obsession, and push for stronger laws to protect victims. Emma's story became a rallying cry, shining a light on an issue often ignored until tragedy struck. The case sparked a larger conversation about social media's role in everyday life. People began to see that behind the filters and perfect photos, real dangers lurked, threats that could spill over from the digital world into reality. Schools, workplaces, and online communities started talking openly about cyberbullying, stalking, and the importance of online safety. Emma's story was shared widely, a warning to be vigilant and to take any signs of harassment seriously. Lawmakers took notice as well. The tragedy fueled discussions about updating stalking laws and improving protection for victims of online threats. It became clear that technology was evolving faster than the legal system could keep up. Emma's case highlighted the urgent need for change. In the months and years that followed, Emma's Foundation worked tirelessly. They partnered with law enforcement agencies, offering training on identifying and handling online harassment cases. They supported families dealing with stalking and worked to provide counseling and legal help. Slowly, they helped build a network of hope for those trapped in fear. Emma's children grew up surrounded by love and the memory of their mother's kindness and strength. Her husband continued to speak publicly about their loss, hoping to prevent others from facing the same nightmare. Though the pain never fully went away, their efforts ensured that Emma's life and death had meaning beyond sorrow. The story of Emma Sanders became more than a true crime tale. It was a lesson about the thin line between admiration and obsession, about how jealousy can turn deadly, and about the invisible dangers hidden behind a screen. It reminded everyone that behind every social media account is a real person, vulnerable and deserving of respect. In the end, Emma's legacy was a call to action, to watch for the warning signs, to support those in danger, and to never ignore the silent cries for help. Her story was a warning and a hope, a reminder that while the online world can connect us, it can also isolate and harm, and it is up to all of us to protect one another. Though Emma was gone, her light continued to shine, guiding others towards safety and reminding the world of the cost of silence.